Ohio's Strongest Man 2020. How did it all shake out? Let's find out. So I was recently informed that I'm not nearly as boring as I thought I was, so I got peer pressured into making more long form videos. So this video is going to be a recap of the 2020 Ohio's Strongest Man. I was going to do this video in conjunction with how to get ready for a strongman contest and how to make weight, but Holly told me that I was kind of rambling. So we're going to break this in to two separate videos. In this video, we're going to talk about how I did, my thoughts about the competition, things like that. And then in a separate video, we're going to talk about how to get ready for a contest, how I got ready, how you can get ready, all that fun stuff. Am I already boring you? Rude. But let's get started. So the 2020 Ohio Strongest Man, it was in Struthers, Ohio, and it was a really, really good time. I kind of got talked into doing the contest. I didn't know if I necessarily wanted to do it. I didn't know if I was strong enough, how I was going to do things like that. But I got talked into doing it, and I'm really glad that I did. I took first place in my division, in my weight class, and I don't know, it was just really it was a great day. I think my biggest problem going into the contest was I didn't have really any experience on the implements. The 5 events were the keg load, the frame carry, the truck pull, the deadlift for reps, and the circus dumbbell. And I tried my best to get, oh, thank you. I tried my best to get ready for all the events, but really it's hard. If you don't have a keg, it's hard to get ready for the keg load. We had a couple kegs that we kicked my grad party the week before, and I've been picking up barrels of beer from my dad since I was like 4. So I had a little bit of experience going into the contest, but no experience lifting a 350-pound keg or anything like that. The frame carry, I didn't have access to a 500-pound frame to carry around, so that was a little bit of an issue. Truck pull, unless you're Brian Shaw, you can't just go down to the fire department and be like, hey, can I borrow one of your trucks, please? No, you just can't. So unless you've done it in a contest before, you're at a disadvantage in that event. The dumbbell or the deadlift for reps, I thought that I had some sort of advantage because you can if you can deadlift, you can deadlift, and if you can't, you can't. So I kind of had that going for me. The circus dumbbell, I thought I had something going for me because I'd been practicing with the fat grip on a dumbbell and pressing like that. I was doing 125 pounds at the gym pretty easily, without any issue. And I was like, oh, perfect, I'll be fine. I was not so fine. We'll talk about that later, but that was my biggest issue. Even though I took first, I think I would have won by a larger margin had I been able to train on the implements. And I had some opportunities to go out and train at the facility with some guys, but I was busy, and that was my own fault for not being able to make that time. But it all worked out for the best. So, event 1, Holly, you can't have energy drinks. You're too small. It's crazy doggo. But the first event was the keg load. And this is an event that, with me just having the main strength that I have, I knew I was going to do well in. I've done well with the Atlas stones before, in practice and things. And like I said, I've been picking up barrels since I was 4 years old. How hard could it be to lift a 350-pound keg? So I took first in this event, and I think the biggest thing for me was making the proper jumps. So I started at a 200-pound keg, which was easy. I skipped the 250. Because if you've never done a contest before, you can enter and lift whichever ones you want. You don't have to pick and then jump accordingly with some sort of rule. So I went from 200 to 300 to 350, and honestly, I think that I may have even been able to do 400 had I made those jumps like that. But everyone else in the lightweights went from 200 to 250 to 300, so nobody else even attempted 350. So I was, undisputed. No one even tried the same weight as me, so I ended up winning that pretty handily. I think that things that that could have helped me in that event were having the experience. I muscled, a lot of the keg and everything like that. But overall, as far as being a dominant event for me, that was far and above the most dominant event that I did. So I took first place in that with a 350-pound keg load. Am I boring you already? You need to sit down, Missy. Thank you. Second event was the frame. This is where my lack of experience started to become an issue. I never carried the frame before, so my thought was, I'm just going to pick it up and I'm going to run with it. The frame is, if you've never seen a frame, it's just, it has handles on both sides. It's a square, and you load it up with weight. Ours was 500 pounds. You had to carry it for a distance for time. And I picked it up and I started running with it, and I didn't, have it up the whole way, which caused an imbalance, and I dropped it, basically costing me 2 seconds in the event, which those 2 seconds basically took me from where I would have gotten first pretty easily the whole way down to fourth. So for the rest of the contest, I was fighting and clawing tooth and nail, trying to, make sure that I was doing well enough to overcome that fourth spot. But moving forward in the rest of the events, I was either 1 or 2 in all the rest of them, which was what made the biggest difference. The next event was the truck pull, which was another event that I didn't do well at technically, just because I had never done it before. Some of the other guys, basically, you can do novice until you win a contest. You can do it forever, technically, but if you've won a novice show and you're still doing novice, like, you're just wasting your time, everyone else's time, and really you're sandbagging is what you're doing. But some of these other guys have done these pulling events before, which I had not. I had just seen on TV and on the internet. Like, those guys, they grab the rope and they fall down with the truck, and when they do that, their massive weight just pulls the truck forward. So I'm like, oh yeah, bet. So I grabbed the rope and I'm like, all right, and fall. And then it didn't move, and I was like, well, shit, I forgot that Hector Bjornsson outweighs me by 220 pounds. He's 2 of me. So I was like, all right, just start running. So I just start running, and finally, by the time that I got it moving fast enough. I'm probably faster than anyone else got it moving, but, just the fact that I stumbled in the beginning kicked me back to second. But second was still good enough to put me in a good position going forward. Had I known how to do it properly, I probably would have gotten first. So there's 3 events in a row that had I known how to do them properly, I could have went 1, 1, and 1, but instead I got 1, 4, and 2. I mean, if it's your first contest, that's fine, but with me being a perfectionist and, being someone who I hate losing, I was kicking the knockers a little bit, but it was good enough to keep me in contention. Event number 4, was the deadlift for reps. And like I said, if you can deadlift, you can deadlift. The only problem for me in this event was I don't think they gave me my full 60 seconds. We took a video of me performing the event, and it was only 56 seconds long, and that included me putting my straps on and taking them off. So had I gotten my full minute, and I don't know how long the guy that got first got it, I got second. Maybe I would have beat him, or maybe I would have gotten 1 or 2 more reps or something like that. But at the end of that event, I did 405 11 times. You were falling down. Had I had, my full 60 seconds, I feel like I probably could have gotten the 12 that I wanted to get, maybe even 13 or 14. I think what ended up winning was 13. So I was 2 off. What are you doing with your... Okay, so I was 2 off from getting first there. Again, real close. Another thing that I think might have got me was there was an up signal and a down signal, and they were pulling the truck, and the truck was on, and there was all kinds of screaming and yelling. I couldn't hear the up and down signals, so me maybe cleaning my ears out the morning of, I could have heard a little bit better and things like that, but still got second. And the thing that irks me, though, is I didn't hitch it all. I felt good. I had a lot more left in the tank. I had more reps in me, but that is what it is. So I took second in the deadlift for reps as well. Moving into the circus dumbbell, I didn't know where we were at point-wise. I was either, a little bit ahead, a little bit behind, but there was like 3 of us that were all, going up against each other for that first spot. And the plan was, because the day before I get there and I'm weighing in and I'm having trouble. I couldn't even press the circus dumbbell for 1 empty, which was 100. They're like, the plan is I'm going to go 100, 110, 120. But I did 100 in warm-ups pretty easily, the day of, and I'm like, open at 110. No reason to do another opener. So we go right to 110, and before I do the 110, I'm looking across the road because we're waiting to compete here across the road, and then we're competing on the road because the road was shut down, and then spectators are on the other side, and my dad's like waving like, whoa, 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 what are you doing? This is they're calling the last attempts for 100, and I'm like, nope, I'm not going to do it. Going to 110. Gave him like the gladiator thumbs down. And so he comes running over. He's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, they're doing the last attempt at 100. I'm like, nope, we're going right to 110. So I press 110 easy, and then I move on to 120. 120 was like, it wasn't like a lot on my shoulder, but just getting it balanced and everything, it just wasn't real easy. But then the guy I was like, neck and neck with, he misses 130. So I'm like, all right, got to do 130 now. And somehow I go in there and I did 130 even easier than I did, 110. So I think I had, a lot more left in the tank in that. But that was, I didn't know what I could do because I had never done it before. So maybe I could have done 140, 150, 160, who knows. 160 ended up winning for my weight class. But I mean, obviously it didn't end up mattering. I could have gotten first and I just would have won by more. To be fair, and to be honest, I didn't even know if I took first place. So we're waiting around to see who got first, and they're calling the names out, and they call third, and then they call second, and neither of them were me. And I was like, did I get fourth? Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know if I got fourth. And they look at the will you quit staring at me, please? The guy goes, and in first place. And my last name's Jendrzejewski, so I'm like, any event that I've ever done in my life, if the guy is looking and he goes, I'm like, yep, that's me. I can't say it, that's me. So I went up and got my award, and it was just like surreal because I'd been, I've always wanted to do a strongman competition ever since I was in high school. I was watching the classic World's Strongest Men on TV from like 1977, and I was like, that's really awesome. Because back then they weren't these big behemoths like John Kolb from the Steelers was a competitor, and Franco Columbu, the bodybuilder, Lou Ferrigno, for pro wrestlers, and a lot of guys that, they were, 230, 260 pounds. They weren't the big 400 pounders like you see today. So it was just a really surreal time. And for me to, enter my first one and win was really crazy. Going on from here, I think I just got to keep training the way that I am. Maybe try to do some more implement-specific training just so I get more familiar with it. With winning my weight class, I qualified for. Thanks. I qualified for nationals in Minnesota in June, so I have a long way to go before I could be competitive at nationals. But I've never in my life been able to specifically strength train and train for one sort of strength sport. For 8 months at a time. I think I have 8 months in between now and then. I've always had football or track or, you get surgery, you get your appendix out, all kinds of crazy stuff. So I think really, coming off this contest, sky's the limit. I have another fun contest coming up on Halloween. We'll see how we do there. Just keep training and stuff like that. But it was a really, really fun event, and I'm looking forward to the next one. I'm going to keep training. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed my recap. Like I said, we're going to do another video coming up soon about how you can get prepared for your first strongman contest, how I got prepared, and importantly, how you can make weight, because that's a really big thing for different events, is making weight. And there's not a lot out there about making weight for strongman contests. So like I said, hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions for me, you can DM me on Instagram at bodybuilding_Bob52. Might have to change that to strongmanbob52. But in the meantime, thanks for watching and stay tuned for the next video.